Trevor Ashford straightened his designer tie and surveyed the Crystal Plaza Hotel ballroom with satisfaction. The charity gala was packed with the city's elite, and he belonged here among them. His real estate empire had made him one of the youngest millionaires in Seattle, and tonight he intended to remind everyone of that fact. His business partner, Jordan Mitchell, stood beside him holding a glass of expensive wine. The two men had built their company from the ground up, though Trevor often took most of the credit in public settings. "Check out the crowd tonight," Jordan said. "Every major player in the city is here." Trevor nodded, his eyes scanning the room with practiced assessment. That was when he noticed her, a woman standing alone near the refreshment table, wearing what appeared to be a simple vintage dress. The fabric was a soft blue with delicate floral patterns, clearly from another era. While everyone else wore modern designer gowns and tuxedos, she looked like she had stepped out of a black-and-white photograph. "Is this a costume party nobody told us about?" Trevor muttered to Jordan, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. A few people glanced over, some smiling uncertainly. Jordan looked uncomfortable. "Maybe we should just focus on networking." But Trevor was already walking toward the woman, emboldened by the attention he was receiving. He had built his reputation on confidence and bold moves. Why should tonight be any different? He approached with exaggerated curiosity, making sure his voice carried across the immediate area. "Excuse me, miss. I think there might be some confusion about tonight's dress code." The woman turned slowly. She had dark hair pulled back in an elegant bun, minimal jewelry, and warm brown eyes that met his gaze directly. For a moment, Trevor saw something flicker in those eyes, but her expression remained calm and composed. "I'm sorry?" Her voice was soft but clear. "Your dress," Trevor gestured with his wineglass, his tone dripping with condescension. "This is a formal charity gala, not a vintage clothing sale. Did someone give you the wrong information about tonight's event?" A few guests nearby stopped their conversations. Trevor felt that familiar rush of control, the same feeling he got when closing a major business deal. Several people were watching now, and he was performing for them. The woman looked at him for another long moment, an expression on her face that Trevor could not quite read. She took a sip from her champagne glass and replied with perfect politeness, "I believe I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Are you sure?" Trevor pressed, enjoying the attention. "Because that dress looks like something my grandmother would have worn. Maybe you're more comfortable at a different kind of event." Jordan appeared at Trevor's elbow, tugging his sleeve gently. "Come on, let's go check out the auction items." But Trevor was not finished. "I'm just trying to help. Someone should tell her that appearances matter at these things. First impressions are everything in this world." The woman's composure never wavered. She simply smiled, a small, knowing smile that Trevor would replay in his mind 1,000 times in the coming days. "You're absolutely right," she said quietly. "First impressions do matter." Then she turned and walked toward the main stage, her posture graceful and unhurried. "That was unnecessary," Jordan said once she was out of earshot. "Relax," Trevor replied, grabbing another drink from a passing server. "I was doing her a favor. She'll thank me later when she learns how things work at these events." The lights in the ballroom began to dim, and a distinguished-looking man in a tuxedo stepped up to the microphone on stage. The crowd gradually quieted, turning their attention forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," the master of ceremonies began, his voice resonating through the sound system. "Tonight, we have the extraordinary honor of recognizing someone whose generosity has transformed our ability to serve this community. This remarkable individual has made a contribution that will impact thousands of lives for years to come." Trevor stifled a yawn. These speeches were always the boring part of the night. He was already thinking about which business contacts he wanted to approach after the formalities ended. "Tonight, we have the extraordinary honor of recognizing someone whose generosity has transformed our ability to serve this community. This remarkable individual has made a contribution that will impact thousands of lives for years to come." Trevor took another sip of wine, half listening. "With a donation of $5 million, our main benefactor has shown us what true philanthropy means. She is a leader in the business community, a visionary entrepreneur, and someone who believes deeply in giving back. $5 million. Trevor whistled softly under his breath. That was serious money, even by his standards. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the founder and CEO of Chen Industries, Ms. Olivia Chen. The applause began, but Trevor barely heard it. His wineglass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the marble floor, the sound lost in the thunderous ovation filling the ballroom. Walking up to the stage in that blue vintage dress, smiling and waving to the standing crowd, was the woman he had just humiliated. Trevor felt the blood drain from his face. Jordan grabbed his arm to steady him. "Oh no," Jordan whispered. "Trevor, do you know who that is?" Trevor could not answer. He could not breathe. Olivia Chen, the Olivia Chen, the self-made billionaire whose company had revolutionized sustainable technology, the woman whose business ventures were featured in every major publication, the philanthropist whose foundation had built schools, hospitals, and community centers across 3 continents. And he had mocked her dress. The cameras flashed continuously as Olivia stepped up to the microphone. Trevor realized with growing horror that phones had been recording earlier. People had filmed the interaction. His cruel words had been captured.
Olivia Chen stood at the microphone with natural confidence, her presence commanding the entire ballroom. Trevor remained frozen in place, his shattered wineglass creating a small puddle at his feet. A server rushed over to clean it up, but Trevor barely noticed. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Olivia began, her voice warm and genuine. "It is truly an honor to support the Foundation for Community Development and the incredible work they do in our community." She paused, her eyes sweeping across the crowd. When her gaze passed over Trevor, he felt like he might collapse. There was no anger in her expression, no trace of the humiliation he had inflicted on her just minutes earlier. There was only a cool, professional distance that somehow felt worse than any outburst would have been. "Many of you know that I come from very humble beginnings," Olivia continued. "My grandmother immigrated to this country with nothing but the clothes on her back and an unshakable belief in the American dream. She worked 3 jobs to support our family, and she never complained once." The ballroom was completely silent now, every person hanging on her words. "This dress I'm wearing tonight belonged to her," Olivia said, gently touching the fabric of her vintage gown. "She wore it on the day she became an American citizen. She told me it was the most important day of her life, and she wanted to look her absolute best. She saved for 6 months to buy this dress." Several people in the audience wiped tears from their eyes. Trevor felt sick to his stomach. "My grandmother taught me that true value is never found in expensive things or impressive titles. It is found in our character, our compassion, and our willingness to lift others up rather than tear them down." Olivia's voice remained steady, but Trevor heard the subtle emphasis on those last words. "I wear this dress tonight to honor her memory and to remember where I came from. Because no matter how much success we achieve, we must never forget the struggles that shaped us." The applause that followed was deafening. People rose to their feet, some openly crying. Business leaders, politicians, and celebrities all wanted a moment with Olivia Chen. She stepped down from the stage and was immediately surrounded by admirers. Trevor stood paralyzed as Jordan pulled him toward the exit. "We need to leave, now." "I have to apologize," Trevor said, his voice hoarse. "I need to talk to her." "Not tonight. Look at the crowd around her. You will never get close, and if you try, you will make everything worse." They made it to the parking garage, where Trevor leaned against his car, his hands shaking. "What did I do, Jordan? What did I just do?" Jordan looked at his friend with a mixture of sympathy and frustration. "You let your arrogance get the better of you. Again." The drive home was silent. Trevor could not stop replaying the scene in his mind. Every cruel word he had spoken echoed in his thoughts. When he finally reached his penthouse apartment, he collapsed on the couch and pulled out his phone. The first notification made his heart stop. He had been tagged in a video that already had over 2 million views. The caption read, Arrogant millionaire mocks woman at charity gala, has no idea she just donated $5 million. With trembling fingers, Trevor pressed play. There he was, his voice dripping with sarcasm as he insulted Olivia's dress. The video captured every condescending gesture, every dismissive comment. Then it cut to Olivia's speech, the revelation of her identity, and a close-up of Trevor's face going completely pale. The comments section was brutal. This guy needs a serious reality check. Olivia Chen is pure class. That dress has more meaning than anything he will ever own. Imagine being so insecure that you have to mock someone at a charity event. His company's name is in his profile. Time to let them know what kind of person represents their brand. Trevor scrolled through hundreds of similar comments, each one like a knife to his chest. He switched to his email and found his inbox flooded with messages. Most were from journalists requesting interviews. Others were from business associates expressing concern. One email, however, made his blood run cold. It was from Victoria Hampton, the director of the Riverside Development Project. Trevor's company had been negotiating for months to secure the contract for a massive mixed-use development downtown. The project would have doubled his company's valuation overnight. "Dear Mr. Ashford," the email began, "in light of recent events and the values our organization holds dear, we have decided to postpone our partnership discussions indefinitely. We will be exploring other options for the Riverside Development Project. Best regards, Victoria Hampton." Trevor read the email 3 times, hoping the words would change. They did not. He immediately tried calling Victoria, but the call went straight to voicemail. He sent a text message, then another email. No response. Over the next 2 days, Trevor watched his carefully constructed world crumble. 3 more business deals fell through without explanation. His company's social media accounts were flooded with negative comments. A business magazine published an article titled "The Cost of Arrogance: How Trevor Ashford Became a Cautionary Tale." Jordan called an emergency meeting at the office. "We need to do damage control, fast." "What do you suggest?" Trevor asked, looking exhausted. He had barely slept in 48 hours. "A public apology, a genuine one, and maybe some kind of charitable donation to show you are serious about changing." Trevor nodded slowly. "I need to apologize to her directly, to Olivia. She will never agree to meet with you. Then I will keep trying until she does." Trevor spent the next week attempting to reach Olivia Chen through every possible channel. He called Chen Industries and was politely told that Miss Chen was unavailable. He sent emails that went unanswered. He even tried reaching out through mutual business contacts, but no one would help him. Finally, on Friday afternoon, his assistant knocked on his office door. "Mr. Ashford, you have a meeting request from Chen Industries." Trevor's heart leapt. "When?" "Monday morning, 10 o'clock, at their headquarters." Trevor could barely contain his relief. "Confirm it immediately." That weekend was the longest of Trevor's life. He rehearsed what he would say 100 different ways. He researched Olivia's background, reading every article and interview he could find. He learned about his grandmother's journey from poverty to stability, about Olivia's own struggles building her company from nothing, about her philanthropic work that had genuinely changed lives. On Monday morning, Trevor arrived at Chen Industries 30 minutes early. The building was stunning, all glass and sustainable materials, with green spaces incorporated throughout the design. The receptionist directed him to a conference room on the 25th floor. When he walked in, Olivia was already there, reviewing documents at the head of a long table. When she glanced up, her expression was professional but cold. "Mr. Ashford," she said, removing her reading glasses, "thank you for being punctual." "Miss Chen," Trevor managed, his throat dry, "thank you for agreeing to see me. Please, sit down." Trevor took a seat, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. The silence stretched between them, heavy and uncomfortable. Finally, Olivia spoke. "I assume you are here to apologize." "Yes," Trevor said quickly. "I am so deeply sorry for what I said at the gala. There is no excuse for my behavior. I was cruel, judgmental, and completely out of line." Olivia studied him carefully. "Why did you do it?" The question caught Trevor off guard. "I do not know. I was arrogant.
I thought I was better than you because of how you were dressed. But why? What is it about seeing someone dressed differently that made you feel the need to humiliate them publicly? Trevor opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. He had asked himself that same question 1,000 times over the past week and still had no good answer.
Trevor sat in silence, Olivia's question hanging in the air between them. The conference room felt smaller suddenly, the walls closing in as he struggled to find an honest answer. "I don't know," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been asking myself that same question every day since the gala, and I still don't have a good answer." Olivia leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. "That's the problem, Mr. Ashford. You came here to apologize, but you don't even understand what you're apologizing for. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your reputation is damaged. But are you sorry for the actual harm you caused?" The words hit Trevor like physical blows. He wanted to argue, to defend himself, but he knew she was right. Every apology he had rehearsed over the weekend had been focused on fixing his image, not on understanding his actions. "You're right," he said quietly. "I've been so focused on the consequences for me that I haven't really thought about how my words affected you." "They didn't affect me," Olivia corrected him gently. "I've faced much worse than a rude comment at a charity gala. My grandmother faced real discrimination, real prejudice. What you said was unkind, but it didn't hurt me personally." Trevor looked up, confused. "Then why am I here?" "Because it's not about me," Olivia said, standing and walking to the window overlooking the city. "It's about the culture you represent, the casual cruelty that people like you display toward anyone you perceive as beneath you. The waitress you don't make eye contact with, the janitor whose name you never learn, the assistant whose ideas you dismiss without listening." She turned back to face him, and Trevor saw something in her eyes he hadn't expected. Genuine concern. "I looked into your company, Mr. Ashford. Do you know what I found?" Trevor shook his head, afraid of what she might say. 5 harassment complaints in the past 18 months, all dismissed. A turnover rate among junior employees that's triple the industry average, and a corporate culture that prioritizes profit over people at every turn. Trevor felt shame wash over him. He had known about the complaints, but had convinced himself they were overblown. The turnover rate was something he had blamed on younger workers being too sensitive. "I had no idea it was that bad," he said weakly. "That's because you never bothered to look," Olivia replied. "You were too busy enjoying your success to notice the damage you were causing." She returned to her seat and folded her hands on the table. "Here's what I'm going to offer you, Mr. Ashford. Not because I think you deserve it, but because I believe people can change if they truly want to." Trevor leaned forward, desperate to hear what she would say. "I'm going to give you 6 months. In that time, I want you to completely restructure your company's culture, hire an independent consultant to review your workplace practices, create real channels for employee feedback, address every complaint seriously, and most importantly, I want you to spend time understanding where you came from and why you became the person you are today." "I'll do it," Trevor said immediately, "whatever it takes." "I'm not finished," Olivia continued. "I'm also going to offer your company a contract, a partnership with Chen Industries on a community development project. But there's a condition." Trevor waited, holding his breath. "You will work directly with the community members we're serving, not from your office, not through emails. You will meet with families, listen to their stories, understand their struggles. You will see firsthand what poverty and discrimination actually look like." "I accept," Trevor said without hesitation. Olivia studied him for a long moment. "This isn't about redemption, Mr. Ashford. This isn't about fixing your public image. This is about genuinely becoming a better person. If you go into this with the wrong motivations, it won't work." "I understand," Trevor said, and for the first time, he actually meant it. The next 6 months transformed Trevor Ashford in ways he never could have imagined. He started by visiting the neighborhood where his own parents had grown up, a place he had avoided for years because it reminded him of struggles he wanted to forget. His father, Robert Ashford, still lived in a modest home on the outskirts of the city. Trevor hadn't visited in over 2 years, always too busy with business deals and social events. When he knocked on the door that Saturday afternoon, his father's surprise was evident. "Trevor, is everything okay? Can we talk, really talk?" They sat in the small living room where Trevor had spent his childhood. His father made coffee, and Trevor found himself looking at old photographs on the walls. Pictures of his younger self, before the wealth and success, when he had just been another kid trying to make something of himself. "Do you remember why you worked so hard?" his father asked, handing him a cup. "To give us a better life," Trevor answered. "No," Robert corrected gently. "I worked hard so you would never forget where you came from, so you would use your success to help others rise up, not to look down on them." The words struck deep in Trevor. He realized he had twisted his father's sacrifice into justification for his own arrogance. He had convinced himself that his success made him superior, when it should have made him more compassionate. Over the following weeks, Trevor threw himself into the community project with Chen Industries. He met with families struggling to afford housing. He listened to single mothers working multiple jobs just to keep their children fed. He heard stories from immigrants who faced discrimination every day, people who reminded him of Olivia's grandmother. One afternoon, Trevor was helping organize a job fair at a community center when he met Rosa Martinez, a woman in her 50s who cleaned office buildings at night. She reminded him immediately of someone, though he couldn't place who. "My daughter is graduating college next month," she told him proudly as they set up tables. "First person in our